I have to clarify something. I was speaking about the protests in America. There was an incident years ago, back when the state of Israel was young. As you know, the Satmar Rebbe was opposed to the founding of the state of Israel on religious grounds, and that's a legitimate opinion within that was held by many great rabbis. We, of course, disagree with his derivations and his conclusions. That's our Rabbanim were not into did not see those arguments whatsoever. But the Satmar Rebbe also pointed out that certainly at the time, the United States, if as a matter of foreign policy, could choose to help the fledgling state of Israel monetarily, militarily, whatever other ways, they were supposed to do so. Why? Because it's technically a religious thing. Maybe Jews who are trying to keep the Torah should not have founded a state. But from the aspect of how the Gentiles should relate to a country that is run by Jews, for the sake of the Jews, then it's basically a test of these foreign nations, how they relate to the Jews. If they want to harm the Jews, it shows that they're anti-Semites, they're an enemy. And if they want to help, it shows that they have a moral compass. They know what they're doing. Don't forget, even if we were to, let's say, criticize, like I have many times, the government, the establishment that runs a government, the shadow government, the military enterprise here, all those things, they definitely need to improve. They need to repent. However, they're still the good guys compared to everybody else around the world, compared to our enemies without. They're totally justified. So the way, let's say, good Jewish people and good Gentile people, and let's say the United States, who listen to these types of videos, they should know that their government should support. Yes, definitely, maybe we don't need the poison pill. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But at least in theory, every country that is right should support the state of Israel in whatever way possible, or at least be neutral toward us. That's the test if you have an actual proper Gentile society somewhere else in the world. About that poison pill, the sages said, there's a classic midrash that when Jacob finally met Esau after being on the run for, by our calculations, it was approximately 37 years. Okay? He was gone for his parents for 22 years or so. Well, actually, this is about 20 years after leaving Lavan. He took him 22 years to finally get home, and he had spent, by our calculations, 14 years away before that. So this is after 34 years. He hasn't seen his brother in 35 years or so. When they're reunited, and Esau was making basically what seemed to be an open threat on Yaakov, on Jacob. He had sworn to kill him. Just wait for dad to die, and then I'll kill him. And now Esau was coming at Jacob with 400 men, a force of 400 men. So you know what he meant. And it says that Esau fell on his neck and kissed him, and they cried. And the sages derive from the strangeness of the writing of the word there that he tried to bite Jacob, and that's why he was crying, because it broke his teeth. Now, that's not what it says in the verse. What were the sages getting at when they added this in the midrash? And that is that when Esau, who is the paradigm, he represents the Western world, the twin brother of Jacob. So once upon a time, he represented the Christian world first, and before that, he represented the Roman Empire in its rivalry with Am Yisrael. And before that, it actually meant the nation of Edom. I recommend seeing, once again, nice video series by Rav Sharkey in Hebrew. It was from this month, analyzing the Barbanel and other sources about how it is that the sages transposed biblical and midrashic ideas concerning Jacob and Esau once the Edomites were no longer on the world stage, so they transposed it to Rome. Were any of the Romans actually descendants of Esau? From a geographical standpoint, it's kind of hard to say such a thing. But either way, go look that up. So these representatives of Esau sometimes come in a show of camaraderie or even brotherly love. Philadelphia. Okay? It's like let's unite in one city of brotherly love there. And that's when the sages say we have to be the most careful of Esau, because Esau is trying to bite our neck when he's doing so. The worst is Esau could come with the sword or he could come with friendship, and that hurts the most. Rabbi Braunspiegel uses an example. He said, when he sees the cardinals and bishops and the Pope, everybody, the princes of the church, of the Catholic Church, he sees murderers because the Catholic Church has done so much to make the peoples of Europe over the ages hate the Jews to a murderous extent. So he had no love for Catholicism and the people within Catholicism. And he was extremely alarmed, I mentioned this before, when Catholic uh, big shots came to visit YU and their base medrash. He said, it's when Esau comes as a brother, right? So just visit in peace. That's when you have to be most dangerous, that you have to be aware of how he's most dangerous at that point. So too, we have to be aware of what the United States, supposedly our strong supporter and our ally, could do to us. And finally, that leads us to an important historical principle. This is a pshat in the pasuk, by the way. It says God promised Abraham, he blessed him. Those who bless thee shall be blessed. Those who curse thee shall be cursed. And that blessing was reiterated to Jacob. His father pronounced it to him when Jacob got the blessings that Isaac had intended for Esau. Isaac concluded, those who those who curse you will be cursed. Those who bless you will be blessed. How does this play out? Well, we see it playing out right now. The United States is trying to dictate to Israel how to go about doing basically everything, how to run their country, how to run their war, how to run their economy. Our economy is intertwined with the United States economy, so much so that, for example, our currency is highly linked. To speak to people who know more about this, highly linked to what's going on with the dollar. So what happens? That which they impose on us will eventually be imposed on them. So we have a system for a long time now, whereby around every election season, basically this is a free pass. Rabble rousers can appeal to the high court, may it be demolished soon, and may its justices go away for a very long time, forever. They have apparently the capacity, I don't know how legal this is, but they do this to summarily disqualify candidates from various political parties, that just to make sure that good Jews who really want the state to run at least closer to the ideal that God has set for it cannot choose the ones they want. So they disqualify people. And of course, those people were actually on the side of our enemies who take government funding and support and protection, but they're aiding those who would seek to destroy the Jewish people. They're fine. They're never taken off the ballot. They're always allowed to run, but it's always the good Jews who are taken off. So you know about this disqualifying people from elections. In the United States, up until this week, that was unheard of. And now it's happening. So there you go. Congratulations, America. Now you are, well, we said it just a few weeks ago. My daughter said, oh, there's democracy. No, that died a long time ago. So now you're having that. You will have complete and utter chaos by telling people, you know what? We're just going to summarily declare that these people, without trial, are, I guess, criminals in some way, guilty, guilty without due process, and therefore they're disqualified. You want to vote for them, you cannot take that. And that's a real big problem. So that's the curse that's coming true on them. They curse us, it's going to happen to them. Or even more so, they try to tie our hands behind our back. They do not allow the state of Israel to properly defend itself from its enemies. As you know, we cannot just strike our enemies the way any other country would, and that's because of American blackmail, at least the perceived influence of America. Or for some reason, those in the higher ups in the military and the people who command the military basically feel that there's certain things we just can't do because the United States won't allow. They're blackmailing us really good, and the Yetzer Hara is too much. We cannot resist this. So that's what's happening. And basically, we are left in a position where people no longer have a sense of security. Well, it's just a sense. Tachlis, there's no security. People are gearing up around here, for example, for a war within Israel's borders because there's a fifth column. There are many hostile Ishmaelites and Amalekites all around who are just waiting for an opportunity to try to attack the Jews here. And we should know, we should just declare to them that the Jews around here are ready. The Jews around here believe in God, and we also believe in the God-given imperative to defend ourselves and conquer. And they should all know that we are ready for that. Okay, we will fight back, and not just roll over. That's a good thing that has to be declared. But they've been holding us back from fighting, and now you see you're in America. You thought the American military can, let's say, fight, let's say, a war or just defend its interests. This whole thing with the Houthim, who are down there in Yemen, is perfectly illustrative of what's going on right now. They're powerless. The regime has made the United States powerless. They're going to suffer all sorts of economic repercussions now that there's piracy is going to be allowed. Until now, it wasn't, and the United States can't seem to fight. They don't let us win a war, and now they themselves cannot win their own wars or fight their own fights. So it's going to be pretty bad. I will curse those who curse thee. If you cause a problem for the people of Israel, and the state of Israel, for better or for worse, is the representative of the people of Israel today, just like Achav in his day, sorry about that, was a representative of the Jewish people, even though he was an idolater and need to be removed from power. But that's what we have. You get the leadership you deserve. So you have to watch out. There and others, of course. Those who curse Israel some other way will undoubtedly receive their same curse upon their heads. It will be poetic justice, mida keneged mida. That's almost, because God declared this, it's almost a rule of nature or a force of history, or is it, I guess you could say, a rule of history and a force of nature, whichever one, pick your pair.